Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, Progressive Governors Forum commends President Muhammadu Buhari's strategy for solving security challenges in the country. The governors also confirm receipt of 2 trillion naira from the federal government. Nigerian army confirms arrest of 21 suspects involved in deadly attacks in Taraba state as women group embark on street protest. Controversy trails inauguration of 9 out of 24 laws State House of Assembly, with the party insisting everything is in order. And U.S. military to deploy additional 1,000 troops to the Middle East as tensions rise with Iran.
On business news tonight, Lagos Commodity and Futures Exchange gets approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission to commence operations as a commodities and futures market.
On sports news, former UEFA President Michel Platini arrested as part of an investigation into alleged corruption relating to the decision to award Qatar the 2022 FIFA World Cup.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, Hope Democratic Party HDP asks Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to invalidate President Muhammadu Buhari's election, insists conduct of February poll is illegal and unconstitutional.
It's a day of congratulatory messages for the president as he hosts governors of the All Progressives Congress at the State House in Abuja today. The governors' congratulatory messages are in respect of what the party's victory at the just concluded National Assembly elections. The governors also thanked the president for improving the state of security in the country, and they promised to boost social cohesion and economic performance in the country. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuki reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari receives governors of the All Progressives Congress at the Council Chamber. The meeting, which held behind closed doors, lasted for about an hour. After the meeting, chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum and governor of Kebbi State says the forum is appreciative of the president's efforts in tackling security and the economy.
We are quite happy with the support for states, where over 2 trillion, close to 2 trillion naira was given in the form of restructuring of loans, refunds on federal roads, refund for Paris Club, which has helped encourage economic activity in the states, payment of salaries, payment of pension, payment of gratuities, and overall investment in the economy by infrastructure spending.
Separately, the governors of Lagos and Kano State met with the president. In an interview afterwards, the Kano State governor talked about the missing 6.8 million naira allegedly swallowed by a gorilla, as claimed by his staff in Kano.
The preliminary report we have received is that there was an armed robbery, not the issue of gorilla. The issue of gorilla is a junk journalism, I think, because there is even no gorilla in the zoo. So, but we learned that there was armed robbery, of which the whole safe was even carted away, but they are still investigating. The outcome of the investigation will let us know what actually happened, but I'm sure there must be something wrong in it.
The Lagos State governor also gives explanation regarding his promise to resolve the Apapa gridlock.
They said I mentioned during the campaign trail, I said I was going to clear it in 60 days. And I've mentioned it before that what I said at that era was that in 60 days we will review what I've done. But that's not to take away the fact that even if people give you a deadline, it's because they want you to do well. We also need to talk to the drivers. They have a union. If you don't have a need to come to Apapa, you don't need to come. You don't have to come now. So the overall permanent solution, in my view, is for us to also have another port.
Now, contrary to speculations, the governors say the constitution of cabinet was not discussed at today's meeting, but they are confident that Nigerians will see positive changes in the days ahead. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
Now, the Katsina State Governor Aminu Mazari has been reacting to President Muhammadu Buhari's directive regarding the need to solve the security challenges in the Northwest. Governor Mazari commends the federal government's directive on implementation of the long-term strategic security plan for the region. He was speaking during an interview with Channels Television, where he lists efforts being made by the state to address banditry, insurgency, kidnapping, and other security concerns in the region.
It's a welcome development, and that we have made various and several recommendations of how to go about in terms of dealing with this issue of banditry, insurgency, and kidnapping. And it has a three-way approach. The first one is to restore normalcy so that people who have access to their farms and into the forest for energy and other resources available in the forest that are serving the local community. Secondly, now to look at the possibility of opening up the areas. And fundamentally is the issue of providing education and health facilities. What we have discovered is that most of the young men involved in this banditry, those who are local, stem from lack of education. Before we can do anything in the forest or the villages bordering the forest, we must restore normalcy first. Then vigorously work on education, because it is very difficult to make an illiterate person understand. And from what we saw, almost all the people in the forest, or you can say majority of them, do not even understand and know their religion, let alone the Western education system. So I think if we want to solve this on a permanent basis, is to open up these areas, provide education to these young men and women, and through that some of them may get opportunity to move into other means of livelihood.
Meanwhile, the army seems to be recording some great strides in the bid to solve the security problems in Taraba State. Today, the commanding officer of the 20 Model Battalion, Serti, in Taraba, says his officers have arrested a total of 21 suspects in connection with the civil unrest in Turiri community, with several dangerous weapons following a tip-off. Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Adamu explains that the suspects have been admitted to committing the crime and will be handed over to the police later.
There was an attack by some headsmen around Nukai, and the swift response of the security agencies repelled the attack, and we recorded some huge success because some of the headsmen corpses were recovered and were handed over to the police. Similarly, the people you have just interviewed by yourselves are the ones that during the course of our operation we intercepted with dangerous weapons and equipment, especially people carrying rounds of 9 mm, which are believed to be rounds for pistol, military pistol, or service pistol. We are doing our investigation, and as soon as we finish, we're handing them over to the police for prosecution. So, but as it is, the situation in the state is calm.
And staying with security matters, the women of Kona community in Jalingo local council area of Taraba State are protesting the alleged killing of their husbands and children by gunmen on Sunday and Monday. No fewer than 8 persons have been confirmed killed by the bandits. Our correspondent reports that the protest started from Kona Garu through the streets of Jalingo and culminated at ATC. The state government has since imposed a dusk-to-dawn curfew on the affected areas.
The trails of destruction of property, including the loss of lives in renewed attacks by bandits on Kona community in Taraba State. Residents narrate their account of the sad incident.
We were in the meeting. Before we could know, we started hearing the sound of guns. Then when we tried to find out what is the situation, we were told that the Fulani people, the herdsmen, they came with a bag with a lot of guns attacking our people inside there.
Around 5 o'clock, I was inside my house. So my child was calling me that I should come and see they are burning somewhere around us. So that was how I rushed and come out. I see they're burning and they was shooting. So I have nothing to do but to run away for my life.
disturbing trend of attacks is the reason these women from Kona took their protest to the streets of the state capital, Jalingo, Taraba State. They say their husbands and children are being killed in the crisis and their youths arrested for no just cause.
They killed almost 20-something youth in Janibombo, and their bodies are nowhere to be found. And look at the children are running, no food, no house, everything was burned down.
The police claim they have given the necessary protection to the protesting women and have also beefed up security in the affected area. Although there are conflicting reports to the number of casualties, the villagers say 8 persons were killed in the renewed attack, but the police keeps the figure at 5.
At the moment, you would have noticed that we have a very massive deployment virtually in all the affected communities. You can see that in ATC here, Nukai, Kaswambera, Kona, and all the communities surrounding, we have stationed our patrol teams.
The government has imposed a dusk-to-dawn curfew on the affected area to restore law and order.
Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will be faithful. That I will be faithful. And bear true allegiance. And bear true allegiance. To the Federal Republic of Nigeria. To the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that I will preserve. And that I will preserve. Protect. Protect. And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God. So help me God. Swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will be faithful.
That I will be faithful.
And bear true allegiance.
And there you see the 7th Assembly in Edo State being inaugurated, with Frank Okire emerging as the Speaker in a session with only 9 out of the 24 members in attendance. Today's inauguration is not without controversy, as majority of the members-elect say that the swearing-in ceremony in the hallowed chambers leaves a lot to be desired.
19 of us went to that. Sometime 30 minutes later, we started getting calls. And we were, like I said, we were happy that something that was to be done was now to be done, irrespective of the fact that it was late and all of that. But all of a sudden, we tried to get in touch about 30 minutes later, that was by 6 o'clock, we tried to get in touch with the clerk of the house to find out if he was already in possession of the letter. Then as first his phone was ringing, he wasn't picking. And we tried to talk to some of our members at about 8 o'clock in the evening. We were supposed to meet. We discovered that 4 of them, their phones were ringing, they were not picking. It became very curious. 3 hours before then, there were 19 persons. Out of that 19 persons, 4 of them were seen in the floor of the house that night, ungodly hour, and they were being sworn in. Now, first, why were we not there? We were not told. Would we have been there if we were told? Of course, that was what we wanted to, and that was why we demanded that that the governor transmit that letter.
And responding to the allegations by the aggrieved members, a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress in Edo State explains that the entire process has the consent of the party.
There are 24 members of the State House of Assembly. I'm not a lawyer, but at least, I went to school. Someone that went to school to the point of having a master's degree has gone through a few courses. To 1/3 of 24 is 8. And the numbers that we have been getting since yesterday says 9. If 1/3 of 24 is 8, I believe a quorum was formed. So all the things that happened yesterday afternoon, to my understanding, is within the law, and they should just allow it to rest. When they come together and act as one, they will be able to form a very formidable force in the legislative part to check the executive and the other, arm of government.
In part 2, after the break, Professor of Medicine Adetola Kasim calls for a strategic campaign against prevalence of sickle cell anemia in Nigeria. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.